I have to get stuff kind of reset here. Of course, when OBS crashes, everything gets messed up in it. Good on that end. Alright, sorry about that. And if you're watching on YouTube, welcome back. God, I can't believe that happened. And it sucks because YouTube, by the time I get it just does not come back in time. Well, on YouTube, it just starts a whole new stream, which really sucks. I wish there was a way to wouldn't. Did I fix the problems? I didn't notice any. I kind of tested flying into San Francisco and out of Vancouver a number of times. Vancouver's still a little rough on departure, but not as bad as landing, because this is such a detailed airport is really the issue. And then going into San Francisco, I didn't have any issues, so we'll see. I got the rudder pedals, I think, worked out. I'm still trying to figure out. I feel like when you're at high enough speed in the CRJ, it's really hard to keep it on the runway with the rudder pedals. I don't know what we're supposed to do with that. Let me get my camera back on. There we go. Yep, I'm using FSU IPC, and I updated that. So I'm not sure why the I copied the rudder set. Well, I went back to default rudder settings, and I copied over what and I adjusted them to what BB Kirk had, and they feel a lot better than what I had it at. Mine was all messed up, but well, everyone coming in. Hopefully, you guys are back in here on YouTube. Sorry about the stream kind of crashing out. OBS decided to die. I'll share these links again if you want to kind of follow me on fshub.io. You can also, I think you can get to the GPS map from that link. Yeah, I updated it. Well, I updated. I downloaded the 0.19, I think is the latest update, and I updated it. When I updated it, it said it was installing 0.16. So I don't know if that's just a mistake on their end. I don't know why it would if I had the right package. Fingers crossed. I did a flight yesterday, flying in and out of. I flew out of Detroit into Milwaukee. I didn't have too many. Besides it just being, I think a lot of it is the photogrammetry. In the U.S., you have so much more photogrammetry than a lot of the rest of the world where we've flown. All right, let's get the APU going, and let's get this thing on the road. Doors.
Captain, the cabin is secure. All passengers are aboard.
Ladies and gentlemen, on behalf of the captain and crew, welcome aboard this flight. We hope you enjoy flying with us. Before takeoff, we would like to encourage all passengers to watch our cabin crew display the safety features of the aircraft.
We got our trim. I don't know why there's no flight number in there. $844. There it is. Oh, it just looked funny to me. Usually can't see it anyway. I'm not using Fly Live. I use Bene overlay, and really the Bene overlay I only have is just for that plane going across the top, the distance to go, and the call sign. So not a lot, pretty light at this point, and I've usually not had too many problems with that. And again, it was Vancouver. Vancouver and Dallas, I didn't have problems really coming into Denver. Most flights I don't have problems. It's just sometimes it's the airport, sometimes it is something like FSU IPC. Oh. Alright, so APU is on. Papers on board. Takeoff data. We didn't set the takeoff data. Go performance. Set the takeoff data right there. Quick way to do it. Doors are closed. Check beacon light. On. Fuel pumps, gravity, X-flow on. Fuel quantity checked. Hydraulic pumps, auto and on. Parking brake set. Packs off. Never turned them on. Ignition ARB. I'm not sure. I believe there's some of these things on the checklist. I'm not sure where you arm those things. Those are armed. Engines start once we get our clearance for pushback.
Vancouver ground, Jazz 884, gate 83. Request pushback and start up.
Jazz 844, pushback and start up approved.
Pushback and start up approved. Jazz 884.
Yes? No? Maybe? PSX sometimes does this where tell it, you ask it for pushback, and then it just kind of ignores your request. Sure. Waiting for... Oh, deep. You back there. Shouldn't it be up in front? There we go. I do. No. Get de-icing. We did de-icing out of Denver, and it was long, convoluted thing. That should get pulled away. Disconnected. Well, we are on APU now.
Hello, Captain. We are ready for pushback.
Go to electrical. You can see generated from the APU. Gonna do the flight control test right now.
Departure check completed. Bypass pin inserted.
And of course, the rudders are not functional at all. So that's good. Good thing we did. We're actually connected. There we go. Except is messed up. Why? Why?
Locking gear.
Flight simulator is a crazy thing, I tell you. There we go. Right, neutral. Right. Neutral. Left. There it is. Everything's working now. Alright, we're just gonna be going left.
Release parking brakes.
Release the wheel chocks and the parking brake.
Commencing push. Due to icing conditions, please stand by for engine start until push completed and brakes set.
I don't know.
Welcome aboard Air Canada.
Bienvenue à bord d'Air Canada.
For your safety and comfort, we ask that you pay attention to this short video. So join us as we explore all that Canada has to offer.
Pour votre sécurité et votre confort, soyez attentifs à cette courte vidéo. Joignez-vous à nous pour explorer tout ce que le Canada peut offrir.
Please place baggage in the overhead bin or under the seat in front.
Veuillez ranger vos bagages dans le coffre supérieur ou sous le siège devant vous.
In preparation for takeoff, make sure you're comfortably seated, with your seat back upright and tray table stowed.
En prévision du décollage, prenez soin de vous asseoir confortablement, de redresser le dossier de votre siège et de ranger la tablette.
Set parking brakes.
You must wear your seatbelt when the seatbelt sign has been turned on. and we suggest wearing it even
Parking
when the
brake
sign
set.
is turned off.
Vous devez porter votre ceinture lorsque la consigne des ceintures
Let's
est
start
allumée,
up the
mais nous vous
engines.
suggérons de la porter même lorsque la consigne est
Starting right
éteinte.
engine.
Fasten your seatbelt by adjusting it around your hips. To release it, lift the upper portion or press
Alright,
on
wait
the
for
release
N2 to
button.
get to
Attachez votre
20%.
ceinture et ajustez-la autour de vos hanches. Pour la détacher, soulevez la partie supérieure de la boucle ou appuyez sur le bouton de dégagement.
Seatbelt and no smoking signs are located throughout the aircraft. Please comply with them at all times.
Les consignes de ceinture et d'interdiction de fumer se trouvent à différents endroits dans l'avion. Veuillez les respecter en tout temps.
It is prohibited to smoke, to use electronic cigarettes, or to consume your own alcohol on board.
Il est interdit de fumer, d'utiliser des cigarettes électroniques ou de consommer son propre alcool à bord.
Your portable electronic devices must be set to airplane mode until an announcement is made upon arrival.
Les appareils électroniques portatifs doivent être réglés en mode avion jusqu'à l'annonce à ce sujet à l'arrivée.
If your electronic device falls in your seat, do not move your seat or try to retrieve it yourself, as it poses a fire hazard. Notify your cabin crew immediately to ensure the safe retrieval of the device.
Si votre appareil électronique glisse dans votre siège, ne bougez pas votre siège et n'essayez pas de le récupérer, au risque d'un incendie. Avertissez immédiatement le personnel
Because
de
I can't
cabine
turn off
afin
the-
qu'il le récupère en toute sécurité.
Unlocking gear.
Should an emergency happen, place your feet flat on the floor and top of head against the seat in front of you. Or rest your head and chest into your lap. Grasp your ankles or wrap your arms under your legs.
En cas d'urgence, posez vos pieds à plat au sol et appuyez le dessus de votre tête contre le siège devant vous. Ou bien, penchez-vous et appuyez votre tête et votre poitrine sur vos cuisses. Ensuite, saisissez vos chevilles ou passez vos bras sous vos jambes.
The illustrated card in your seat pocket or magazine rack explains the many
Right, engine
safety
start.
features of this aircraft. Please review it sometime before takeoff.
Clear to start
Carte
checklist
illustrée placée dans
complete.
la pochette ou le porte-revue près de vous.
After start
explique les
checklist,
nombreuses
Gen 1
mesures de
and 2
sécurité
on.
propres à cet avion. Veuillez en prendre connaissance
They are
avant le
both
décollage.
on. Check. Ignition A or B off.
If there is a
Left
need
and right
to
packs
evacuate the
on.
aircraft, leave your baggage behind and follow the seat-mounted lighting to the nearest emergency exit.
S'il faut évacuer
Circulating
l'avion,
fan
laissez
on.
vos bagages à bord et suivez
Anti-ice
l'éclairage
checked
sur
as
les
required. We're
sièges
gonna
jusqu'à l'issue la plus proche.
that on. Have some clouds. Probes on.
There are
Electrics
4
check.
exits
Rudder
located on
check.
each
Nose
side
wheel
of the aircraft.
steering.
All of these are indicated by a green exit sign.
After start
Please
checklist.
locate the one nearest you.
Il y a 4 issues de secours de chaque côté de l'avion. Chacune d'elles est indiquée par une enseigne verte. Veuillez repérer celle qui est la plus près de vous.
Vancouver ground.
If the cabin pressure changes, an oxygen mask or a tab will drop from the panel above you. Remain seated. Pull the
Right, taxi
mask
check
over
flaps as
to
required.
bring the mask towards you. Use the support strap to hold the mask over your mouth and nose and breathe normally.
Why do they always have to give us
secure
the
your
most
own mask
difficult
before assisting
taxi
others.
Si la pression de la cabine change, le masque à oxygène ou une languette tombera du
Straight
panneau
shot.
au-dessus de vous.
Make it so difficult.
Tirez le masque ou la languette pour amener le masque vers vous. Utilisez la bande élastique pour maintenir le masque sur votre nez et votre bouche et respirez normalement.
Juliet.
Mettez toujours votre masque avant d'aider quelqu'un.
No. Delta.
If there is an emergency landing on water, reach for the
Echo.
pouch under the seat or beside your leg
They want us to come from the
Remove
opposite
elastic
side of
band
the
if required.
runway.
En cas d'amérissage d'urgence, prenez
Alright.
la pochette de gilet de sauvetage
Ouais.
sous le siège ou près du repose-jambe. Retirez la bande élastique au besoin.
Sometimes
Pull out the
there's a
life
reason
vest
behind the
from the
madness.
Slip it on, fasten the waist clip.
I don't know
and
what it
tighten
is,
the
but
belt.
sometimes there is.
Pulling the tab will inflate the life
Alright,
vest. You can also
to
inflate
our
it by blowing
taxi
into
check.
the tube.
Flight controls check.
The life
Trims and
vest
stab
should
green
only be
and
inflated
set.
as you leave the aircraft.
Thrust
Sortez le
reverser.
gilet de la pochette et enfilez-le.
Armed.
Attachez la boucle de taille
Flight
et
instruments
ajustez
check.
la ceinture.
FMS
Pour le
auto
gonfler,
tune.
tirez la
ETMS.
languette ou encore soufflez dans le tube. Ne gonflez votre
Right.
gilet qu'au moment de quitter l'avion.
Taxi lights on.
If you need any assistance or
Let's
have
go
any
taxi.
concerns, please let one of us know.
Si vous avez une
Let's try not to
inquiétude ou
lose
besoin d'aide,
the mouse. I need
adressez-vous à
that.
un de nous.
Thank you for choosing to fly with Air Canada.
Merci d'avoir choisi Air Canada.
that China Eastern? That might be China Southern. They're all very similar, like China Eastern, China Southern, they all kind of got similar, that kind of bird thing. Beautiful time to take off here with the sunrise.
Delta 1009er, contact Vancouver Tower 118.7. Contact Vancouver Tower 118.7, Delta 1009er.
I get the sense that the FS HUD ATC doesn't recognize taxiway Lima. It always, when we came in here, it gave us the same thing with a kind of a weird, convoluted taxi route. To get over to our parking spot.
Vancouver ground, flare 800, gate 19, request pushback and start up.
Flare 800, pushback and start up approved.
Pushback and start up approved. Flare 800.
I'm not sure why we can't just go this way.
Vancouver ground, flare 800, request taxi.
Flare 800, taxi to holding point, runway 135 golf.
In reality, I
Hotel,
could,
Hotel
but I'll follow what ATC say.
Runway 135 golf. Hotel 4, flare 800.
Go around the airport a little bit more. Well. Flare. I guess I'm getting runway 08 right because that's the one I picked. Because everyone else is going to the shorter 7,300 foot runway. I'm going to the 10,000 foot runway, which I really don't need.
Jet 8844, contact Vancouver Tower 118.7.
Contact Vancouver Tower 118.7, Jet 8844. Vancouver Tower, Jet 8844, request cross runway 08 right, 26 left.
Jet 8844, cross runway 08 right, 26 left. When vacated, contact ground 121.7.
Cross runway 08 right, 26 left. When vacated, contact ground 121.7, Jet 8844.
I'm nervous about like the takeoff here, because when I take off, once I get to that, like the 80, 90 knots, then it starts getting very hard. You start like any little rudder input you put in to keep straight on the runway almost tips your plane over, it seems. Very weird. Still haven't gotten a handle for this plane. Now landing yesterday night in Milwaukee, nice and smooth. I actually had a decent landing, so I'm hoping that I can carry that over to landing in San Francisco as well.
Continue taxi via Echo. Hold short of runway 3113. Jazz 884.
Jazz 844. Contact Vancouver Tower 118.7.
Contact Vancouver Tower 118.7. Jazz 884. Vancouver Tower, Jazz 884. Request cross runway 3113.
Someone on the runway there.
Cross runway 3113. When vacated, contact ground.
Flare is going over there.
Cross runway 3113. When vacated, contact ground.
Really nice to see a lot of actual traffic moving around. Sometimes you do one of these flights and it seems like there's no traffic at the airport. Today we actually got a few planes coming in. Planes going out, which is really nice. So that one right there coming in, that's WestJet 1865 on final for 8 left. We didn't have to worry about him.
Vancouver ground, Jazz 884. Runway.
Wondering where this one's coming.
Jazz 844. Continue taxi.
We'll be able to take off before he comes in. If he's coming in on right or not. Aloha, Mateo. We're going to be heading down Hawaii pretty soon. World tour. This jet just gets a ton of speed on taxi. Constantly fighting to slow it down. I don't have any throttle in either. No thrust. How you doing, Mateo? Yeah, flying down to San Francisco right now, and then we'll do probably this afternoon. Hopefully this afternoon I'm gonna jump into Southwest 737, fly down to San Diego, and then from San Diego tomorrow morning, bright and early, I'm gonna try to get going by 6 o'clock in the morning, because we got about a 6-7 hour flight over to Hawaii from San Diego in the A330 Hawaiian Airlines. That should be a enjoyable flight, relaxing flight a little bit. Be able to kind of just watch the clouds go by. There comes WestJet coming in for runway 8 left. We're at 8 right, and hoping this guy's going 8 left, I hope. Beautiful morning here in Vancouver.
Vancouver ground, SkyWest 4477, gate 84. Request pushback and start up.
SkyWest 4477.
Alright, lights and strobes. We're going to turn on that light for now. Well, look at them all.
Pushback and start up.
Strobe on. Fuel cross flow off.
SkyWest 4477.
Ignition anti-ice as required. Flight attendant advised. Transponder TCAS on. Radar is required. Yes. Had no messages. Checked and cleared. Bugs reviewed. Air and packs as required. Ready for departure.
Vancouver Tower, Jazz 884, runway 08 right, ready for departure.
Jazz 8844, line up, runway 08 right.
Line up, runway 08 right, Jazz
Plane does look like it's...
267, wind, calm, clear to land, 08 right.
Yeah. Why are you...
08 right, Jazz 267.
There's your runway incursion right there. So here's a Jazz 267, clearly attempting to land and then disappeared. Probably because I was over the line there. It looked like you... When I started looking, I was like, maybe I shouldn't go because I didn't hear anything about that guy coming to land 7 or 8 right, even though it looked like he was coming that way the whole time.
Runway 08 right, cleared for takeoff.
Runway 08 right, cleared for takeoff. Jazz 8844.
Take. Positive rate, gear up.
Jazz 8844, contact Vancouver, departure 126.12.
Contact Vancouver, departure 126.12. Jazz 8844. Vancouver departure, Jazz 8844 at 2,600.
Jazz 8844, radar contact, proceed direct Yankee Juliet, continue climb 12,000, altimeter 3032.
Proceed direct Yankee Juliet, continue climb 12,000, Jazz 8844.
.415 in Hawaii. Yep. Yeah, here at Vancouver taking off. It's 717 and absolutely just looks beautiful. See Vancouver out in the background. And I think Windsor. Down the river. Beautiful airport down below. Absolutely stunning. And of course, we're going to get blocked out by all the clouds as we go up. All right. We're climbing 12,000 feet. Direct to Yankee Juliet. Oh yeah, it does. And actually, I did pretty good on that takeoff, I think. Got to be very gentle with the rudders. Sensitivity is so high, I think. But you need the sensitivity so that you can actually do things, but then other times, you don't want any sensitivity. Yeah, yesterday when I did out of Detroit, I was kind of wobbling all over the runway trying to, wings going up and down, trying to stay straight. because I was just putting too much, I guess. So getting used to, getting better, trying to get better with the rudders. Alright, let's do our climb checklist. Landing gear up, flaps up, fuel cross flow, auto, APU and bleed set, lights and passenger signs as required, check, thrust reverser off, check. And we'll check the CAS again. Checked and cleared. Climb checklist complete. Going up on our altitude, 12,000. Remember, we don't have auto thrust, so we need to... Oh, we actually can speed up here. We are above 10,000. Landing light off. And we can turn the seatbelt signs off. Got it smooth. Alright, so 12,000 till we get to... Oh, there it is.
Maintained. Flight level 180.
Climate maintained. Flight level 180. Donate 8484.
Fernando, welcome in. Yeah, sorry about the on YouTube. Lost the first 30 minutes of the stream because OBS crashed, and so I had to start a new stream, unfortunately. So we'll kind of give everyone a background. We've got a few more of you guys in on YouTube as well. Flying, just took off out of Vancouver International Airport in Vancouver, Canada, and we're flying down to San Francisco International in San Francisco, California, the US of A. World Tour Flight 227. Been hopping around the US and Canada last, I want to say 5 or 6 flights here in the World Tour, so kind of slowing down on discovering new countries. But the U.S. is the U.S. and Canada are the size of the continent, so hit a few airports, get some, instead of doing one giant long flight of like 10 hours to go from Miami to Hawaii or something, I don't know. So we got a few more domestic flights. We're going to do San Francisco to San Diego, then San Diego to Hawaii, and then Hawaii we will be headed out to French Polynesia in our first new country in a little bit. And we'll be moving into the Pacific and Oceania and Australia, New Zealand, all that.
Climate maintained. Flight level 270.
And then we'll be getting into... before we know it, we should be getting into Asia.
Vancouver Center, donate 8484 at 16,500. Climbing, flight level 270.
Yacht 8844, radar contact. Continue climb, flight level 270.
Continue climb,
And
flight level 270. Donate 8484.
Captured Yankee Juliet is, I think, Victoria. We'll see how much we can see. Seattle will be on our left as we're coming down the coast. Not sure if we'll be able to see much. The glare. Still looks absolutely beautiful out the window. Aren't linked together. Not there. I feel like I've done this flight before. Well, not this flight. I think I did a flight from Vancouver. Offline, I did a flight from Vancouver to Portland. And yeah, this is just a beautiful flight down the coast. You can see all the mountains. You can see Mount Hood, all the... I believe Mount Hood, right? In Washington. But yeah, really, just a really cool flight path. Portland was rough landing there because the runway was all... like... The data came in weird, and so the tiles were at the wrong altitudes or the wrong elevations, and so I'd come in and smack and fly up in the air. Limitation of Flight Simulator and maybe a bad mod or something, but enjoyable, beautiful flight and approach into Portland. We're gonna be going a little bit further. I've also probably done 1 or 2 flights from Seattle to San Francisco on VATSIM, so kind of. I don't know, I really like it. It seems like I fly the West Coast quite a bit, and there's so many. I mean, just the United States, there's so many. I mean, there's so many flights there's so many places I'd like to fly in the U.S. and in Europe and all over the world. There's just so many beautiful places, and not enough time to just fly everything. Slowly climbing up to 27,000. Very interesting because, well, I think my flight from Detroit to Milwaukee, I only climbed to 25, I think. Sometimes you want to be careful with the speed, otherwise you could get to a situation where you can't get to the altitude, but you also can't maintain the speed you want. Mateo, 47 minutes on my flight sim. I will be flying from Ontario, California to Kahului, Hawaii via Honolulu, Hawaii. Pretty cool. Is that a real life flight, Ontario to Kahului or to Honolulu? I haven't checked. I know there's flights from San Francisco, LAX, San Diego, all fly out to Hawaii. Probably Seattle.
Flight level 350. Contact Seattle Center 123.95. Maintain 484.
I maintain 350. Jazz 8844.
At flight level 250. Climbing flight level 350.
Jazz 8844. Radar contact. Continue climb. Flight level 350.
Continue climb. Flight level 350. Maintain 484. Seattle Center, Alaska 61272, departure at 10,600, climbing, flight level 200.
Alright, see some of the mountains right there.
1217, radar contact.
As we enter into, I believe we're entering into the United States.
Approach, runway,
Yeah, there's the border.
Report when ready for descent.
Yeah, this actually the border for the United States makes a lot of sense over here, except for the fact that They drew the border for the United States and Canada around Victoria. I believe it's called Victoria Island, which makes sense. But then once you get around Victoria Island, it then becomes I believe the 49th parallel, 48th parallel, whatever it is. And you have these hapless people that live. Point Roberts, it might be. I'm not sure what the name of the city is, but they're there. And the only way to get to their city or in and out of their city is they're cut off from the rest of the United States, and they can only get into it by going through Canada, up and down through Canada. It's so weird how they did that. Obviously, those people probably don't want to be part of Canada. I don't know why. Those weird things that you would think they would have fixed sooner rather than now. Or in 2023, you'd think they would have fixed it by now. Before it became such an issue that you have a bunch of people living there who are U.S. citizens and are cut off now. Before we get a significant population there, maybe we fix this problem. I can't tell you what all these mountains are off in the distance. Maybe I can. I can find a map. Google Maps has. It's amazing how there's some really good maps out there, and then, especially nowadays, we have such a hard time finding good maps that are reliant on something like Google Maps. Like, oh, I want this one. So I'm gonna say that is probably Mount Rainier. Just south of, kind of the southeast of Seattle. Seattle's right here, I'm guessing. And then that's going to be Mount St. Helens. Kind of hard to tell which ones are which. Right behind Mount St. Helens is also Mount Adams. Then you have Mount Hood. Yeah, there's a whole bunch, so it's kind of hard to tell like where, because there's just a whole range of the North Cascades. That might be that, and then this, I'm guessing this is Mount Rainier because it's kind of sticking out. And then the next big one down, kind of hard to tell like where, maybe that's Mount St. Helens, and then it's kind of hard to tell what perspective we're looking at because Mount St. Helens and Mount Adams is right behind it. It's kind of they're right directly to the east. And then Mount Hood will be further down. That might be St. Helens, that's Mount Hood. It kind of depends on our perspective. Once we get more in line with those, but I'm guessing that's what it is. Rainier, St. Helens. It kind of looks like a bummed out volcano, right? Mount Adams, and then probably Mount Hood over there. And then Portland will be right there. Seattle. Let's get inside and. Yeah, that's Seattle right over there, I'm guessing.
Expect Creek Hawk 7 arrival. Vast RNAV Zulu approach. Runway 16 right. Report when ready for descent. Alaska 1043.
kind of look off one direction. I mean, obviously below us, beautiful. We're going right over there. This is Olympic National Park. See, when I think of Seattle, I always think of Seattle right on the coast, but it's actually inland, and there's a bunch of land. There's the Pacific out there. And you have Puget Sound, I believe that's what it's called. Of course, you got a lot of that fog. Oh, wow. I suppose like Ontario's becoming like I never heard of Ontario International until I started doing flight simming and noticing it, but I suppose that makes sense that it have more options. People don't have to fly out of LAX.
Horizon Air 2407, descend and maintain 11,000. Descend and maintain 11,000, Horizon Air 2407.
Wow, but they fly out using, at least the flights I'm looking at, they fly out using the A321neo. Interesting.
Skywest 3341.
So that would have been nice to fly. I guess you can. I mean, because like the San Diego one, it's out of San Diego, it's A330. What is it for LAX? LAX flies out the Hawaiian flies out the A330. Kind of a mix. I mean, Hawaiian does the A330, Southwest does a 738. Lots of different options, I suppose, to fly that route because it's right there where your A320s, your 737s, that's about their range. But then they can also. Okay, so you can see we've kind of gotten stuck. So it's interesting. Sometimes I have no problem getting up to the altitude, and other times, well, feel pain. Next speed there.
Alaska 1043, radar contact. Expect Creek Hawks 7, arrival in ILS. Approach runway 16 left. Report when ready for descent. Expect Creek Hawks 7, arrival in ILS. Approach runway 16 left. Report when ready for descent. Alaska 1043. WestJet 161. Flight level 270.
Alright, so we're hitting waypoint Elma, which is basically over the town of Elma, with 1A. I like the name of this town just down the road. You got Montesano, well, Elma, Montesano, and then over there, right here at the mouth of the river, Cosmopolis. No, you're saying you have Aberdeen Washington. But here, Cosmopolis. Yeah, I don't know. That's a little bit of a pretentious name, I think. Yeah, I think that's, I think we were right there. That's Rainier. That's going to be Rainier. Mount St. Helen, because he's kind of blown out volcano. Mount Adams, and then down there's Mount Hood. Seattle kind of socked in with fog right there. You can see our target speed's 0.74. We're right now at 7.7, so gotta knock that down a little bit.
15,000.
That'll help with our climb.
027. Descend and maintain 15,000. Alaska 1043. Horizon Air 2407. Descend and maintain 7,300. Contact Seattle. Approach 119.1.
Descend and maintain 7,300. Contact Seattle. Approach 119.2. Horizon Air 2407.
American 1667. Radar contact. Continue climb. Flight level 200. Continue climb. Flight level 200. American 1667. Alaska 139.0. Climb and maintain. Flight level 290. Climb and maintain. Flight level 290. Alaska 139.0.
I wish there were some better camera views on the CRJ. Too much wing. One's a little bit better. There's just nothing to see. I don't know why they picked this window.
Alaska 1043. Cleared Creek Hawk 7. Arrival. Altimeter 3027. Cleared Creek Hawk 7. Arrival. Alaska 1043. Flare 18, remain, maintain, flight level 320.
Maintain. Flight level 320. Flare 18, made.
American 1667, climb and maintain, flight level 290. Climb and maintain, flight level 290. American 1667. Alaska 1043, maintain, 15,000. Maintain, 15,000. Alaska 1043. Alaska 1043, descend and maintain 11,000. Descend and maintain 11,000. Alaska 1043.
Alright, so we're at our cruise finally, 35,000 feet. Hopefully we can maintain the speed. We're actually at a Mach 0.75. A little bit over. We'll kind of watch this, make sure we don't lose speed. Alright, top of descent is about an hour and 1 minute from now. 447 nautical miles it's saying, and we'll be in San Francisco in about an hour 12. I think that'll be I have a hard time believing there's an 11-minute difference between our top of descent and landing, but roughly that amount of time.
Flight level 330, Alaska 1390.
So there's Mount Hood. Portland's going to be down there. Columbia River. We're passing over the Columbia River right now. Right below us. And it kind of snakes down. We're now into Oregon. Portland will be over there. Mount St. Helen.
11,000. Alaska 1043.
Beautiful.
Alaska 1043, descend and maintain 10,000. Descend and maintain 10,000. Alaska 1043.
Hey Tyler, welcome in. Glad to have you here. Just flying, just about passing Portland. The Mount Adams and Mount St. Helens right there. Mount Hood is weird now, but Portland's right around this area. Headed down to San Francisco in the CRJ-700, and yeah, we are losing speed at this altitude.
Descend and maintain 6,000. Contact Seattle. Approach 119.
Not exactly sure what we're supposed to do to maintain our speed. We just go max.
Seattle. Approach 119.2. Alaska 1043. Alaska 926, radar contact, climb and maintain, flight level 230.
Doing all right. Doing all right. Yeah. As I was saying, I don't think I said it on the stream yesterday, but when I was watching Creepy Kirk's stream over on Twitch last night for his birthday. We were talking about. Well, I've been mentioning how it's like I'm looking into flight school and stuff, and going and being a pilot, like actual airline pilot, and but it's such a it's such an expensive thing, which again you can get the loan if you can deal with that, and with the way the signing bonuses and the starting salaries are now with a lot of these regionals, you can pay that loan off really quick, so almost a non-issue there. But we just bought this house, and you can barely pay for the house as it is. And if I'm not working at all, doing 7 months of training, and then I'm making maybe half as much as I'm making now doing flight instructing or something, it's just not doable. But my wife suggested, and it looks like this is something we could actually do, she can actually do, is she suggested she'd go back to China with the baby boy, with Elishua, take him over there and kind of just live there for the year, or longer, depending on how it goes, and live with her mom and be able to visit with the family, which she hasn't seen for 4 years now, and they've never met baby, so she's pretty excited. She's actually pretty excited to do that, so that will help with not having to pay for health insurance for them over here, they can get stuff over there, obviously. And then make it a little easier for us to, or for me to, move into a different living situation. I either move in with my parents or with a friend of mine who lives just down the street. And then maybe rent out this house so we can hang on to the house but rent it out and all that. And that will help with the finances and maintaining just the day-to-day bills, because right now we're paying what is our monthly outlay, and then add on top of that loans and other stuff, and not working. So I'm feeling a little bit better on that front. Still a lot of planning to do. No rush. I mean, a little bit of a rush, but I think my plan is kind of do it within the next year. Keep you guys updated on that. Let's see, if I go max throttle, I don't need max throttle, maybe take off go around throttle. If I go max throttle and take off go around, our speed goes up, but if I go to the climb throttle, we lose speed. Well, I figure, I mean, again, streaming and piloting in Microsoft Flight Simulator is a whole different thing than piloting in real life, but in some ways I think it'll be, easier. I put my little quotes here, easier, in the sense that, first of all, have all the training, knowing what I'm doing. It's, when you're doing an actual thing, I mean, simulators are cool, right? Whether it's a, American Truck Simulator or, and I can speak for this, like American Truck Simulator, driving a semi-truck in real life is, for me, a lot easier than driving a semi-truck in American Truck Simulator, because it's real. You're in that actual 3D element. You got the real feedback. Everything works the way it's supposed to work. I mean, it's real life physics, everything, as opposed to a simulator where you're dealing with your controllers and the graphics and whatever else is involved. It's the same thing with Flight Simulator, right? I struggle so much with the rudders and all the stuff in here, but are my controller settings right? Are the just the way it's modeled in the sim, is it correct and all that? But and I think a lot of people say, like, the biggest advantage of having a background or using something like Microsoft Flight Simulator or X-Plane or whatever, is it helps you with this more, like kind of having a familiarity where things are in the cockpit. But when it comes to the actual flying, it's going to be a whole different thing. But you do have that, okay, I've been here before, I kind of know what I'm looking at, and then it's obviously learning it for real. But yeah, I think it'll be easier, and you'll also have a co-pilot. You'll have the captain in the left seat, you'll be in the right seat. Plus you gain paid to do it. I think. I mean, so it'll be easier. It'll be more difficult, but also easier in some ways. Similarly to how I look at, like, trucking. Like, it's all muscle memory. It's actually, for me, while, like, driving a truck, it's so much easier doing it in real life because it's muscle memory, and you're doing it all the time. I do it 12 hours a day versus in a simulator where it's like, okay, well, I'm not actually using a real steering wheel. I'm using a gaming wheel. I'm using a mouse to look around as opposed to just looking around, right? I'm pushing actual buttons. Oh. I don't know. Well, the career path, the way it works is, so I'm probably going to go to ATP Flight School, which is like the biggest, most respected one. It's got a lot of connections to the airlines and everything. It's all over the U.S. And they just opened, probably a couple of years ago, they opened a facility or a training area over at the Waukesha County Airport, which is the next county over from here in Milwaukee. So it's only like 10-15 minute drive over to that airport. So probably be where I'll go. They pioneered the fast track program, where it's like, hey, we're gonna get you in from zero experience. Like, you don't even know what a plane, you don't have any idea. Like, you have nothing. You don't have a private pilot license. You've never been in a plane. You've never handled a plane at all. And they will take you from that to your, they'll train you through your private pilot's license, your instrument rating, your commercial rating. I'm probably missing a few there, but I know instrument, commercial, and then they'll send you, I'll have to go somewhere else within ATP, but probably I think down south, one of their schools in like Florida or Arizona or someone, which will be fun. I think that'll be pretty fun to go somewhere warm, depending on the time of year, especially. Go down somewhere else for CFI training, which is Certified Flight Instructor training. Get the CFI, you get your CFI-I, which is your Certified Flight Instructor instrument rating, so you can instruct people on instruments, and then also your CFI multi-engine rating, because you need to have all of those so you can then work for ATP, build up your hours to 1,500 hours. Once you get to 1,500 hours, that's when, around that point, you start sending out your resume to all the regionals and different, the smaller airlines, typically your regionals. And the great thing with ATP, though, is that you can actually get, they're tied in with so many of these airlines that these guys will be knocking down your, especially right now, they're knocking on people. If you're a pilot and you have a commercial license and you have those things, they're going to be sending you stuff saying, hey, join our cadet program, join our flow-through program. So there's a number of flow-through programs, like Envoy, which is American Airlines regional carrier. You get in the Envoy flow-through program, you get in there at some point, like 500 hours or 1,000 hours, while you're doing your flight instructing, while you're making money, but you're not making a ton of money, but you're making money, building your hours towards that 1,500 hour, which is what you're required to have from the FAA to get your ATP, your air transport. I think your air transport passenger license, I think that's what it is. That's the highest rating you get as a pilot. That allows you to fly airlines, right? It allows you to fly big tubes full of passengers. And you get to that 1,500. So if you're in this Envoy, or if you're in like a SkyWest, I mean, there's a number of these different flow-through or that programs. Once you get to that 1,500, they're going to call you up and say, hey, come over to, because you've already interviewed to get into the cadet program. Once you get the hours, they're going to say, hey, come over, here's your hire date with us at Envoy or at SkyWest or whatever. We're going to get you over to wherever, I don't know where Envoy does its training, but SkyWest does it in St. George, Utah, where they're based. But you go, I'm going to use Envoy because I know Envoy has a flow-through program. I think SkyWest is kind of a flow-through, basically, it's just whatever airline. But then you get hired on at Envoy, the regional carrier for American Airlines, as a first officer. And now you're in your first officer, you're in the right seat, and you get your training, get your ATP and all that. And you work there for a year, and a lot of these they're saying like, okay, you're going to work here for a year, and then you're going to be a year at first officer, and then you're going to upgrade to captain, and you're going to be a captain for like a year, and then once you get to 2,500 hours or whatever, you're going to get a call from American Airlines, or whatever flow through you're doing. You're going to get a call from American Airlines. You're going to be like, okay, here's your hire date, here's your training time, your class time. Get ready to come over, and they'll get you to wherever you need to go and do the training. And then now you're first officer for American Airlines. And there you are, and you don't have to do any interviewing on each step because you're already in this flow-through program. You're basically almost on an autopilot through your career because they want to get you in. American Airlines needs pilots, United needs pilots, Delta needs pilots, so they're creating these flow-through programs that make it so easy. They're like, okay, we're gonna grab these people when they're flight instructing, and we're gonna have them in our ecosystem the whole way. Because if you don't do that, what happens is you have a pilot who's flight instructing, and then they go and they get to a regional, and then as they're at the regionals, or they go to a Frontier or a Spirit or a Southwest, know, those typically you can get into those a little bit lower flight hours. But you go there, and then once you get to a certain point, you're like, hey, I want to get to a major. I want to get to one of the legacy carriers. And now you have your options. But they want to lock you. But now they're realizing, hey, if we give these guys these options, we don't know we have someone in a pipeline. They're kind of creating this minor league system for pilots almost, where you have the big guys, you know, United, American, Delta. I'm sure Alaska and you know, Southwest is doing similar. Is going to start doing similar stuff as well to get pilots in a pipeline where they know, okay, this guy's going to work for us. We're going to have this pilot for 30 years, 40 years, or whatever. And once they hit this checkpoint, boom, we're going to hire them into the regional. Boom, then we're going to hire them into the main line, right? And so you were saying, like, what will I be flying? Typically, your typical path is you do your flight training. You're in your Cessnas and stuff like that, small propeller planes, prop planes. You do your flight instructing, and then you get into a regional, typically, right? Now you could go the charter route, you could go the corporate route, and then you'll be flying Challengers and Lears and all those things, citations. But if you go the airline route, you want to go to the airlines, and the airlines you make more money than corporate, even though corporate can be a pretty sweet gig as well, from what I've heard from a lot of pilots that do that. Is you go to a regional, and regional you're going to be flying either the ERJs, right, the Embraers, or you're going to be flying the CRJs, the Canadian, you know, the Bombardier Canadian regional jets, which we're flying right now, the CRJ-700. Typically that's what most of the regionals are flying. Like Air Wisconsin, they fly the CRJ-200. Delta, a lot of Deltas, I think the 900 and 1000 now for the CRJs. Like if you're flying Endeavor or SkyWest for Delta. So that'd be the first step, and then the next step, typically you're going to then move into into Delta or American or United or whatever. And you're going to fly you're going to fly either the Boeing 738 or you're going to fly the Airbus A320, right? You're going to fly somewhere in there, right? Those planes. And then once you build up enough experience and hey, I'm interested, I want to fly the 757 or I want to fly you're not locked in on one thing. But, obviously I'm not 100% sure how seniority works. I think your seniority is overall, and then you can, there's an opening over here for a first officer or a captain on. I think you can jump, like you could be a first officer in the 737, and there could be a captain opening, and you're at that point where you're going to get that upgrade to captain, and you can upgrade to captain to 747, or you can upgrade to captain to 757, or the A350, whatever it is, right? So it's really cool. Yeah, I need to do something. I need to kind of figure out how to vlog it, and I'm not good at buying cameras though, and getting the right kind of camera and stuff to do that. A good quality camera, especially if I'm gonna have no money to start. But I'll try. I'm gonna try. I know it's a very popular thing, on YouTube. When you look for pilot trainers, there's a lot of pilots who are going through training or have gone, and they talk about it. It's very helpful to seeing real people talk about it. You're not getting that sales pitch from ATP or whatever flight school it is. And the reason I'm so I would suggest if you want to do the same thing, if you're very or you're thinking about it, I would check out a Pro Pilot Playbook. A couple of corporate pilots based out of Cincinnati. Both of them have 25 years of experience or so. And they are also, these are guys that are corporate pilots. Their full-time job is corporate pilots, but they also have side gigs, including doing this Pro Pilot Playbook kind of thing, which they claim to be kind of this one-of-a-kind thing, this new thing where there's you can find all kinds of information about flight training, like how to actually fly a plane, learning about stalls, and you can learn all that technical stuff. You can find all kinds of stuff on that, books and everything. But there's nothing out there. Loses so much speed. Look at that. Crazy how if you take the throttle down to climb, we lose all the speed and we're in danger of actually knocking off the autopilot. that speed. Or we lost it permanently. Uh-oh. We lost it permanently. That's not good. Hey, Sasha. Can't believe I'm at max. Yeah, I went down to climb. I lost all that speed. See, we're actually slowing down our flight here. Yeah, look, I've lost that speed. Can't get back. Alright, I'm gonna change the cruise. We're gonna go. I'm gonna get down to drop 2,000 feet. We're gonna see if we can do that, because then we can. We'd be able to maintain speed better, and I think the real life flight's only 33,000 feet. Now let's descend down to 33,000. We'll gain that. We'll get that speed back, and we can then should be able to maintain. Alright, see you, Tyler. Yep, so I was just talking about flight training and all that stuff. But yeah, if you're interested in flight training, at least in the US, I mean, I suppose anywhere, they have audience everywhere. Pro Pilot Playbook, they've really inspired me to really kind of go for it, look at this, and still in the planning stages, but I think, you know, every time they're very inspirational on it. As opposed to, I mean, there's sometimes I talk to, you know, go on some forums and you see these pilots and they're like, oh, it sucks, you know, lifestyle sucks, and like, but compared to what, right? Compared to what? Because see if we can get this. Got a lot of clouds here on the Pacific coast. My wife's drilling downstairs.
Southwest 260, radar contact. Flight level 380.
Hey, Chewy Nuts! Thanks for the follow. Yeah. Yep, I guess I'm the legend. I always feel embarrassed when he, when Tyler does that. But yeah, I think he was like my first subscriber way back. Trying to figure out how to maintain our speed at this altitude. CRJ. I just spent the last probably 5 minutes blabbing about kind of the, you know, the flight training, kind of the progression of how to do that. He's gotten really good at doing the streaming too. Got all the lights and everything. He's gone into it. I can't afford it. I don't have the time. I don't have the time or the money to do all that stuff, or to kind of look and learn how to do it all. I've kind of got at a point where I'm like, okay, everything's working decently. I'm just gonna stick with this for now. Maybe in the future. Maybe in the future. Yeah, see, so if I'm at max, or if I'm at toga or max speed, gain speed. But if I pull back to climb, I lose speed. And I was down to Mach 0.52 or something, and we actually descended 2,000 feet so I could not fall out of the sky. Alright, let's see, where are we at? Here, just past Eugene, Oregon. Yeah, but I mentioned I was looking at doing the flight school thing, as I did last night on the stream for Tyler there for Creepy Kirk, and guy who just kind of left another Tyler. He just left the stream, had to step away. You're saying, oh, you'll be a good pilot. I'm like, well, I hope so. Or you're slowly, you kind of doing it, kind of working. Are you kind of doing it like when you can, your flight training? It is one path. It's a slower path that can end up being more expensive in the long run. But I think it depends. It completely depends on where you are in life or what you can do. I'm 35 years old, going to be 36 this fall, and I think I'll probably. My goal is to get into class, get started doing this by, probably around this time next year. That'll give us time to kind of plan, get everything figured out. I think I mentioned it on a Creepy Kirk stream that my wife is kind of got the idea. It's like, hey, I could, go back, live in China, and they'll save money, make it easier. Yeah, I mean, if there's a way to get like a, to use that GI Bill I saw. Well, again, I would check out. I don't know if you know these guys. If you've ever heard of it, it's called Pro Pilot Playbook. They have a podcast, which is pretty cool. And then they also have an actual product, which keeps going up in price, but it does offer a lot. But so far, the videos I've been watching is kind of stuff I've already heard in the podcast, but I'm hoping there's a little bit more as it goes along. But basically, their goal over at Pro Pilot Playbook is it's a Pro Pilot Playbook. Basically what it is to be, they put this together, these two corporate pilots out of, they're in Cincinnati, and they put this together during the COVID years. They had all this extra, way more extra time than they already have because they barely fly as it is, because they fly when their boss wants to fly, right? So they're much different than an airline, but they put this together because you look around the internet, you can find all kinds of stuff about the technical side of flying, right? How to, your components, how planes work, how, stalls and all that stuff. You can find that stuff. There's books and all that information, but there's no, and obviously in your flight training, you're going to get all that. But there's no resources out there on like how to get into an aviation career quickly, inexpensively, avoiding the pitfalls, avoiding the mistakes. So they put this thing together, and it's, at the very least, it'll inspire you. It'll keep you inspired. But I'm looking forward to kind of seeing, like they've talked about, like, okay, they have a whole list of. One thing that disappointed me on their website, and I think it's broken or something, is that they have one thing they have is a whole listing of all the planes, like all the private planes, all the private corporate jets that are out there. So that you can kind of see, like in your area, maybe you, instead of going the airline route, you go the corporate route, or you go airlines, but you're looking around, you're like, hey, maybe I can go corporate. Oh yeah, there's right down there. I'll get over to that airport, and basically it's a career guidance thing is what they want to offer. It's like kind of be your guidance counselor going into the aviation industry. I think they have like a module on how to do, how to interview, or how to kind of tips and stuff on how to get in. So you're doing your flight training, and then you get into your certified flight instructing. But how can you get some jet experience, right, before you get on with a regional or with a corporate? Well, hey, and some of their tips are like, well, hang around at like Signature or whatever, and make friends with these pilots that are there, and maybe, a lot of the, there are a lot of pilots that they're the only pilot for the jet, and then they'll invite a guy to be the first officer, unpaid often, but they'll buy you lunch and whatever, and they'll take care of a hotel if you're going somewhere where you stay overnight or something. But you get the experience of being in the jet at least, and I think you still get to put that down as in your logbook, but just run the radio or whatever and be there and kind of be immersed. Yeah, it's pretty cool. Like I said, at the very least, if you listen to, if you really just want to, if you don't want to spend, I think it's like $20, $27 a month right now for the program. And I'm I'm gonna kind of run through it and see, you know, if it's worth that. And it probably is. But I can tell you, just even you can listen to the podcast for free on Google or Apple or whatever, and just the podcast, it's really cool. You just learn so much, like so many of the questions that you have, like, well, how do bases work, and how does your flight training work, or getting your ratings, all these different things. So many things that it's like, wow, I know a lot more now. And again, they want you to get into Navy. They're like, this is the time to get it. So I'd have to credit them 100% with really inspiring me to, like, even think that it's a possibility, and it's like, oh yeah, you know what, I could do this, and I can do this, and you know, there's no better time. Yeah, they talked about the one of the guys, he actually was in the Air Force. He was in the Air Force, he wanted to be, like the last video I watched, he talked about how, you know, but everyone wants to go to the Air Force and be a pilot. And they want to be a fighter pilot, right? They want to do Top Gun, yeah. And what happens is it doesn't go based on if you're the best pilot or anything. It's like kind of like, oh, there's an opening, and then it goes if you're the best pilot, you know, then it goes by your ability. But he was in there, but then when he kind of figured out that he was going to be just doing cargo, you know, transport more and not the fighter, kind of like, and so he got out, but he had the money to use towards flight training. And I don't think you, if I'm remembering right, I think you can't use, and there's actually two pots of money, I guess. I don't know. Again, I have no idea. I wasn't really paying attention because it doesn't really apply to me. But, you know, obviously you have a pot of money they can use for college education, but you also have a pot of money that you can put towards flight training. And from what it sounded like, you can't use that for the private pilot's license, but you can use it for everything after the private pilot license. You know, your instruments, your commercial, your CFI training. No, but I'm looking at ATP doing that, like one of those accelerated programs. 7 months, should take you about 7 months, maybe 8 months, depending on the scheduling. It's pretty expensive, and it's also, again, like I said, because it's such an intensive program, you can't really work while you're doing it. And so I think that's where it feels like it ends up being a little bit more expensive, because you can't work. You're not constantly bringing in cash flow while you're paying. But in the long run, you get through it faster. You're already building hours and building, getting closer to getting that seniority at airline stuff faster. And they've said in the long run, a lot of people say it, but including these guys at Pro Pilot Playbook, is that if you figure it out, if you're going once or twice a week, doing this while working, it may feel like you're saving money. And again, I would say it feels like you're saving money because you're spending, but you're also bringing in money. But if you figure it out over the long run, because what happens is like if you go once a week or twice a week, or let's say you go once a week, but even twice a week, every time you go, you kind of have to spend a little bit of your lesson relearning what you did last time, getting, kind of reviewing. So you're burning up that time, that expensive time during your lesson, kind of reviewing the last lesson, as opposed to every day you're up in the plane, going. You're just immersed, so. And again, like at my age, I just figure it's like, well, if I want to do it, my goal is like, because right now, a lot of the pilots, like one of the pilots on one of the forums, she went through ATP. She started in 2019. So she hit it right when it was a great time to go in, right? Because pilot shortage. And then suddenly it wasn't a great time because no flying. But she got through the training. I guess she got like a corporate job, got a charter job, which was, obviously getting pretty big because of everyone was doing. plane can't decide what it wants to do. If I go to climb, it loses a ton of speed. If I go to max, it goes crazy on the speed. But I think she went, yeah, she went like corporate charter route because obviously all the main stuff was down. Yeah. Well, and she just started with United. So 4 years from starting at 0 in 2019. She's at United. She's on the main line. She's flying the 320, or she's flying this. I don't know if she's doing Boeing or Airbus, but you know, she's flying one of the planes that we typically fly here in the flight simulator, the 737 or the A320. Yeah, 4 years. Oh yeah, that's. You go back, these guys on the Pro Pilot Playbook, they're like, yeah, when we were coming up, it was like we were 4 or 5 years making $10,000 a year doing, he was flying like checks, like paper checks. You actually had to fly those from Cincinnati to Cleveland. It wasn't electronic yet or whatever. And he was making like nothing. But, and they kept saying, it's like, yeah, we weren't making any money, but we loved what we were, obviously loved it. But it was like that grind. And now it's, you go in and they're, like, as soon as you get the hours, you're getting hired, basically. Unless you're completely a trash. Unless you're a terrible pilot, like, incredibly terrible. You're a terrible person, and, whatever else. But otherwise, you're getting hired, is what it's like right now. So, like, get in. And so I figure, like, if I were to start right now, I figure I'd be at an airline, at a major, by age 40, right? Which would give me 25 years, currently right now, at least the way the rules are right now, 25 years to build seniority and to make money, right? Which is more than enough time, for what I don't need to make a bazillion, $1 trillion or something, but, and I figure, and then I'm thinking, and so I've been kind of like, oh, I gotta get in here. But I think if I get in next year, I'll be fine. If I get in 41, well, now I have 24. Possibly. Possibly more, possibly less, and of course, in the next 25 years, they'll probably, I doubt even with the surge of people getting, there is a lot more, are a lot of people getting into training right now, but they need to hire like 800,000 pilots just to keep up with demand and the replacements, and that's over double the number of pilots in America right now, and that's including people that just have private licenses. They're not even commercial pilots, airline pilots or anything. So it's like they need 800,000 over the next like 10, 15 years. Holy cow. So no better time to get in. And holy cow. I've been talking a lot. Already down to 32 minutes on the flight. Whew. I kind of wanted to step away for a second. Going on downstairs before we got into as we go over Northern California right now. Yeah, it's crazy. That's my goal. My goal is to get in within this next year. Make sure we get everything figured out, and then get in, and hopefully be making the good money by 41, 42 years old at a major. Hopefully get the loan paid off as soon as possible. Hang on to that. I mean, I'm not, for me, it's like when I think about doing it, it's like I'm not going into it like, oh, I want to make more money so I can drive a Ferrari or whatever. It's like, I don't need any of that. For me, it's like I want to be able to breathe. I want to be able to breathe. Like right now I'm making $80,000 at a job that I walk to just down, literally down the hill. But I work 12 hours a day, 60 hours a week to make that. And my wife doesn't have to work. We pay all the bills, but there's nothing left over. So yeah, once she gets a job, we'd be able to save money. But I can't see myself doing what I'm doing now for the next 30 years. I can't see, it's hard on the body. And I don't want to be 65 and still having to do that. So Plus, I'm interested in doing the pilot thing. It's like I think, I don't know. Part of me likes to kind of be a homebody and just be in one place. Another part of me kind of misses the adventure. I mean, I miss the adventure of China. I miss the adventure of, and I even miss being over the road truck driving, right? And so it's like, okay, maybe we can get the kind of the happy medium, right, where I get to get a high-paying job where I get to travel and see the maybe not the world at first, but definitely see the country from a different perspective too. Do something that a lot of people do. Hey, contacting Oakland Center. Right, well, got about 30 minutes left on this flight. Everything's in the computer. I'm gonna step away, get a little bathroom break, and check and see what's going on downstairs. Everyone's up and stirring. Wife's stirring. She's making a lot of noise. Probably trying to put pictures up, and all we have for a drill right now is the IKEA drill, and a little drill from IKEA, which I don't think is very powerful to do really much of anything, except for it's not really for putting stuff into a wall, but it's more for just, instead of using a screwdriver to put things in, like when you put together a crib or a chair or whatever, it makes that fast. But my brother is getting me a drill bit set because he bought me a Milwaukee Tool drill, but he didn't buy me the drill set to go with it. I'm like, yeah, can you get me that? I mean, you get the little, I don't know how much of a discount he's getting right now, because every time he gets me stuff besides that Milwaukee Tool drill, he gets me all like the Kyobi stuff, which is another, I think is the next level down at Milwaukee Tool. It's their kind of their budget tool line, because he works for Milwaukee Tool, so he gets an employee discount, but I guess they can't use their employee discount as much now, or especially on Milwaukee Tool products. Don't have enough. The demand is so high or something. Like, well, that sucks. My wife's like, we need to do this, we need to do this. I'm like, I don't have any tools. I don't know what to get. I'm not very handy at that. I don't like spending money, especially when I don't have money. Spending money on like the wrong thing. Alright, well, I'm gonna step away. I will be back, and we will get this plane descending and landed in San Francisco. Thanks for stopping by, and see you in just a few. Alright, I'm gonna start kind of preparing the FMS here. We got our chart. Then for the ILS, which is gonna be the 111.7. I know it says auto, but I don't trust the auto always, so I just like to put it in. 111.7. And nav 2 we can put in your missed approach, climb to 3,000 feet on San Francisco VOR radial to 1. So we're going to want to use that VOR. That one. 115.8. That's all I need to do in there. Our fuel has decreased a lot compared to what we looked like we were going to be finishing with. Checking the chart again, I want to look at arrival. We got a little bit of time to go. But none of this is to scale. Until we get to pi, I guess. Or I think all of this out here is not to scale. So we're going to get to point raise. And then we'll get to Stins. There's a hold point at Stins, also at pi. Come on in 107 degrees, and we're actually going to go all the way into the airport and then back out and then come back around for the typical runway 28 approach. I'm guessing we're going to be expecting 9,000 feet at pi, what that is saying. And then if we look at the final ILS, we're going to do ILS runway 28 right, effective May of 2019. Localizer is 111.7, final approach course 284. We're going to be capturing the glide slope at 1800. 13 feet for our elevation. We already have that in for the pressure. Missed approach, that to climb out, and then we're going to hold at the VICU. Missed approach requires minimum climb of 350 feet per nautical mile to 1900 feet. Unable to meet climb gradient. Be able to do that, no problem. Alright, so 7. Alright, so we're going to come to Dumba. Dumba will probably be at 3,000 feet already. Stepping for sure, we want to be at 3,000, and then we're going to descend to 1,800, capture the glide slope on in. I always forget my cats, I think. A lot of stuff. Cat 3 is the lowest, right? Like, no problem at all. Doesn't even have a minimum. I always get confused by these. I think this is our minimum right here. 113. If we have, get to do Cat 1 of these. I'm going to put that in that 213. I'll put the 213 in. difference? Decision height. Oh, okay. That's the difference. We don't want that MDA. Do 113. Yeah, see, look how much more speed we're getting suddenly. Really weird. I guess just the air pressure, I suppose, or because we were struggling. Right? We dropped all the way down to 0.5. 0.5 Mach 0.5 when we were at the climb, and now I'm actually having to manually pull it back. Be at top of descent there after Millbeck. That's the I-5 right there, and the city of Ukiah. That might not be the fix on my no, that's the 101. Sorry, I-5 goes to gonna be in Sacramento. That's the that's Ukiah and the US 101. And Clear Lake, and just over there, gonna be Sacramento. Alright, so we got our arrival instruction. Where are we? Top of descent coming up really quick.
Maintain flight level 330, descend 844. Jet main 844, descend and maintain flight level 240. Descend and maintain flight level 240, descend 844.
The vertical speed here, 2,000.
Maintain flight level 360.
Look at the seatbelt signs on.
Maintain flight level 360, jump 763. Sky West 5356, radar contact.
See the Pacific Coast over there on our right.
Arrival Alpha Romeo Charlie Hotel India ILS. Approach runway 28 left. Report when ready for descent.
Alright, in-range check, pressurization set 20. Fuel checked, altimeters. Altimeter set to standard right now. I don't think I can change that. Yeah, there's no way to like set it before I actually change it. Because checked, radar checked, say yes, checked and cleared, landing data set.
Runway 22 left. Report when ready for descent.
We'll do that VREF once we get down. Approach briefing complete. In-range checklist complete. There's something about the United States, there's something about flying over the U.S. is just really cool, just the way it looks. And obviously, I like flying over Asia. I like flying everywhere in the world, but the U.S., just the way, I think it's just the familiarity with the way cities are kind of laid out. Kind of that sprawl isn't always the greatest thing. I always love when they put in a plane comes in and just rockets up to its altitude. That's Santa Rosa. Still gonna be here. Right behind my pylon. And I threw the information in the calculator. We're going to be going flaps 45 for landing. V clean speed is going to be 188. V2 GA is 146. Approach 138. Touchdown 138. VREF is 133. Landing a little quicker than we need to.
Descend and maintain 14,600 altimeter 3024. Descend and maintain 14,600.
Alright, 3024 for the altimeter. Once we get to 18,000, we'll punch that in. Down to 250. Ready for 10,000. Again, pi we need to be at says to expect a 9,000. I guess maybe we don't need that. Chart said 9,000, but I suppose it doesn't really. We got a little bit of room to work with, and at least on here it's not saying. Dumba is 4,500, 2,400 or 3,200 per steppin. Steppin should be 3,000. Maximal 1,800. Let's keep descending at the rate we are. That way we just get down where we need to be. It's saying we don't need to descend this fast, but snowflake's right there, and I'd rather not have to do higher and higher descents than right now. Rates. In fact, we could do a little bit higher rate. Slow it down. This goes right there. San Pablo Bay. San Francisco Bay down there. Oakland, Berkeley.
Cleared at 4. Arrival altimeter 3023. Cleared at 4. Arrival destination 4 at 4.
Visor will be tuned. I don't know if that's a message just telling us it's going to be tuned, or that it's going to do it automatically, because we already we have it tuned manually. Hope they keep clearing us. Sometimes they do this cleared. Now, typically when you're cleared on the arrival, you're cleared to ground using altitude limits. There are no altitude on the chart though, so you need to be at, want to be around 3,000 feet at Dunbar, around that. Getting our speed down. We're leveling up.
Jet 844, descend and maintain 10,000. Descend and maintain 10,000. Detonate 84 at 4.
Just go right in front of us. 8:55 in the morning, San Francisco time, Pacific time. Landing about 9:15, I would guess. My sunglasses. Golden Gate Bridge. Middle landing light on and the recognition lights, 1,000 feet. We'll save the other two until we get our clearance to land. Especially since it's daytime, we don't really need to be really lit up. Typically, I guess I was watching one, and I don't know, it might be different, but a lot of times they'll turn on the landing lights. That way the ATC can see that, okay, they've gotten the clearance to land. They know that, or they've gotten that on transmission. You need to clear me. Barely at 10,000.
Contact NorCal, approach 119.2. Descend and maintain 4,000. Contact NorCal, approach 119.2. Donate 8484. NorCal approach, donate 8484. Stint 4, arrival at 9,400. Descending 4,000.
Donate 844. Radar contact. Continue descent 4,000. Altimeter 3024.
Continue descent 4,000. Donate 8484.
Alright, so this is going to be my first landing with the realistic turbulence. Got to turn it on when I was doing my flights, my practice landings at San Francisco and my flight from Detroit to Milwaukee. It'll be interesting, hopefully not a complete disaster. Hard enough to land this plane. Just the fact that it's so small and kind of finicky with the rudders. Beautiful. Typically it leads to all this photogrammetry leads to a little bit of a frame rate hit, but it also makes it just look so beautiful. When it's all loaded in. Obviously when the buildings are kind of like little mud huts or whatever. Plane right down there. Yeah, saw the downtown kind of coming into as it was loading those buildings in. They're all loaded in. They look pretty, at least from a distance. Wrong thing out. Report. Looking down over San Mateo, Palo Alto, gonna be Rudder. I haven't seen the blue. I didn't see the blue diamond when I was flying into Milwaukee. ILS was kind of weird. Where's the blue diamond? Yep, I guess they use blue diamonds on the CRJ. We'll be down to 4,000, which will give us plenty of time to kind of bleed off speed. Fun around it. Dumba. But you see the snowflake way up there. That's totally fine. I like to... Allows me to bleed off the speed. Rather be at the altitude and bleeding the speed versus fighting.
J844, proceed direct speed, maintain 4,000.
Proceed direct speed, maintain 4,000. J884.
J844, turn right to heading 285, descend and maintain 1,800.
Turn right to heading 285. Descend and maintain 1,800. J884.
J844, clear ILS, approach at 1,800, runway 28 right, report established on localizer.
Cleared ILS, approach at 1,800, runway 28 right, report established on localizer, J884.
Not for this flight. Maybe the next one. This afternoon. I can't make any promises that I'll be even stream this afternoon. I kind of want to. I want to get on. I want to stream down to San Diego. Or get the flight down to San Diego. Get set up for tomorrow morning. Going out to Hawaii. Kind of go to 85 degrees, and then we'll teardrop back to Sepin. Sepin, we need to be at 3,000. Should be at 3,000. Clear down to 100. Once we kind of start making the turn, I'll... That. Just skipped all those waypoints. Why did it do that? So now it's gone to our go around. Now I hate it when it does. I don't know why it skips step in and exit. Right before landing checklist, flight attendants advised, passenger signs on, thrust reversers armed, check, landing gear down. Laps as required. See the runways. Full flaps, 45 degrees. We maintain our speed here.
Established on localizer. Jet 844, contact San Francisco, Tower 120.5. Contact San Francisco, Tower 120.5. Jet 884.
Flash Jet 35.
San Francisco Tower, Jet 884, on final 28 right.
Jet 8844, continue approach.
Continue approach, Jet 884.
United 1212, wind, calm, runway 19 right, cleared for takeoff.
Runway 19 right, cleared for takeoff, United 1212.
Waiting for our runway clearance. Capture the glide slope. We should start descending. There it goes. Our plane's taking off towards us. Something.
Jet 8844, wind, calm, cleared to land, 28 right.
Landing lights on.
Cleared to land, 28 right, Jet 8844.
Autopilot disconnect. Always get the feeling I drift to the left coming in.
400. 400. 300.
A little bit low. A little bit shallow.
Minimums.
Continue.
Minimums. 100. Minimums.
Yep.
50. 40. 30. 20. 10.
Jazz 8844, when vacated, contact ground 121.8.
When vacated, contact ground 121.8. Jazz 8844.
Okay, vacating with Quebec. Flaps.
San Francisco ground, Jazz 8844. Runway vacated with Quebec.
The aircraft has come to a Jazz 8844, taxi to gate, Golf 111, via Quebec, Bravo, Bravo 1, Zulu. Hold short of runway 10 right, 28 left.
Taxi to gate, Golf 111, via Quebec, Bravo, Bravo 1, Zulu. Hold short of runway 10 right, 28 left, Jazz 8844.
Jazz 8844, contact San Francisco Tower 120.5.
Contact San
No idea where that
Francisco
gate is.
Tower 120.5, Jazz 8844.
Hulu.
San Francisco Tower, Jazz 8844. Request cross runway 10 right, 28 left.
Jazz
Got a-
8844, taxi to gate, Foxtrot 72, via Quebec, Bravo, Bravo 1 Alpha. Hold short of
That makes
runway
more
10
sense.
right, 28 left.
I wanted to go to Golf 3, but for some reason Golf 3 is not available.
Bravo, Bravo 1 Alpha. Hold short of runway 10 right,
we're
28 left. Jazz 8844.
Jazz
Yeah, see, where's the-
8844, contact
shouldn't be
San
golf,
Francisco
these-
Tower 120.5.
Contact San Francisco Tower 120.5. Jazz 8844.
Sure what happened to Golf 3. In real life, there's Golf 3 and
Request cross runway 10 right, 28 left.
Jazz 8844, cross runway 10 right, 28 left. When vacated,
Going
contact ground
Foxtrot.
121.8.
Cross runway 10 right, 28 left.
Got
When
72.
vacated, contact ground 121.8. Jazz 8844. San
E.
Francisco Tower, United 1986. Request cross runway 01 left, 19 right.
United 1212, contact NorCal, departure 119.2.
Contact NorCal, departure.
yeah, I'm asking for the follow me because there is no real Foxtrot 72. It'd be Foxtrot 11 or something. It's like the gate numbers are all kind of wrong.
Left, 19 right, when vacated, contact ground
Chart's different. Each letter has their own numbers. It doesn't just go all.
Contact ground 121.8, United 1986. San Francisco ground, Jazz 8844.
I'll try. We'll see.
Runway vacated with Quebec.
Live Fabio, hey, welcome in. You guys are just in time to taxi the gate, unfortunately. Thanks for the raid. Thank you very much. Hey, Aviator. Hello, hello. Just in time. Just landed in San Francisco, so you missed the approach, missed the landing, unfortunately. But thank you for the raid. I will be streaming. My plan is to stream a little bit later. Fly from San Francisco down to San Diego, possibly, or maybe do something else. Thank you very much for the raid on the ATC. Maybe try to get on VATSIM later too. Oh, where'd he go? Oh, he's way over there. We just flew Vancouver down to San Francisco. Thanks for the follows, guys. Thank you very much. I'm just doing my world tour. Last few flights have been kind of domestic between the US and Canada. We're going to be flying this afternoon. I'm planning on flying down. My plan is to fly down from San Francisco down to San Diego, set up for tomorrow morning's stream, where we'll be flying the A330 out to Hawaii. That'll set us up for knocking out the Pacific Islands on this world tour, flying into every country, territory in the world.
Contact San Francisco Tower 120.5. Contact San Francisco.
Yeah, we can do that. That's my plan, Sasha, is do that later. Probably 2 o'clock. We'll see. I mean, no promises. I have to kind of see what we're doing. I do want to get that flight in this afternoon, though. And then... Okay, which gate? Where's the gate? Right. I'll try to do VATSIM for that. We'll see. Hopefully there'll be coverage.
United 1986. Contact San Francisco.
The marshal are sitting. Oh, these airports. I think the marshal is like standing up there for some reason. I didn't completely customize the gate with GSX Pro, so. Alright, close enough. We're in the gate. Let's things shut down here. Turn off the probes. Shut down check. Shocks and brakes. Got the brakes. Let's put the shocks. Electrics. Get the ground power cart. Why I can't get that to work.
To stop the engines to request ground services.
Oh. I wish I was doing another flight right here, you guys. Thanks for everyone coming in. The pumps. Trying to get the ground power unit over. We have enough fuel to stick with the APU.
The boarding requested.
Pin light off, seatbelt signs off, electric set, press levers and shut off position, belts off, anti-ice, pull off, pumps off, hydraulic pump, fire, we'll leave it there, beacon light off, nose wheel steering in the off position. I don't think that we're gonna get a proper GSX Pro really working here. Gate's kind of in a weird spot. Default airports. What are you gonna do? Alright, so my plan is, so if you guys are interested in checking out that flight, we're going to be going San Francisco to San Diego. Please drop a follow. I do tend to stream mornings. On my days off, I stream 6 or 7 in the morning Central Time. I try to, especially as the summer comes on, it gets way too hot up in this room, so I try to stream in the morning. Also, my wife and baby are still sleeping, and but right now and during the winter, I try to get a stream in the afternoon. I'll be streaming tomorrow morning, 6 or 7 o'clock. We'll be flying out to Hawaii on Hawaiian Airlines. So again, if you're watching here on Twitch, thanks for the raid. Hit that follow button. It's totally free. And possibly you can find some more flights to watch. But this afternoon, probably, I'm going to say a couple hours from now, 3 hours from now, I'm going to try to fly San Francisco down to San Diego. Will be in the 737, PMDG 737 from Southwest Airlines. Doing that flight and possibly jump on Vatson for that. No promises, but that's my hope, so just hit that follow and all that. Let's go get a raid. We got a lot of you guys in here watching right now, so let's go find someone to raid. You guys got anyone to raid? On and going right now. Go raid beam. You guys stick around, let's do this raid. Rolling. But thanks for joining me for the little taxi. Unfortunately, just got to the end. London controller. He's got a ton of viewers over there right now. Let's go. We're gonna raid B-Mint. She's kind of fun. So stick around, let's raid, give B-Mint a great shout out. And thanks for stopping by. As I said, I'll be back on in a couple of hours, hopefully. Hope to see a few of you over there for the flight from San Francisco down to San Diego. And then tomorrow morning, I'll be flying about 6 or 7 in the morning Central Time, Hawaiian Airlines, a nice long flight out to Hawaii. So thanks for coming in. 1 second. Set something up. We'll get over on that raid. All right, here we go. Raid. I'll see you in a few hours.